All right, this question is from Alessia. I think that's how you pronounce it. What are your thoughts on the Christian Bible saying not to be yoked to an unbeliever? I'm asking as your wife, Deanna, isn't a Christian.
Oh, yoked to a non-believer? Well, that's a good question. I appreciate the boldness. I imagine some people will be like, yoked. First of all, I guess we have to figure out what that means, yoked. And the funny thing is, words, as much as we want there to be an objectivity to words to describe things such as complex as feelings, I don't think, they're not as objective of what's not being said. Let's put it that way. You want to hear the truth, you want to hear objectivity, then you have to look sometimes beyond the words that are being spoken. So this brings up just like the idea of, can words describe dynamics as complex as feelings accurately? And even if they do you see blue the same way I do? So yeah, there's an open to interpretation. When I hear about this question, sometimes I imagine, because I think I saw her comment and I saw a few other comments, that I imagine, or let me rephrase that. I would encourage you to ask yourself, where is this question coming from? And is the question coming from a place of pure love, or is it coming from a place of wanting there to be a right or wrong? Is this question coming from a place of wanting to categorize someone as better than the other person? Like Deanna's right and Daniel's wrong, or Daniel's right and Deanna's wrong, or vice versa, or I'm right and they're both wrong. So where is this question coming from? I think is a good question to start asking when we're going to attempt to pretend to answer this question. So let me define what yoked means in the sense that I imagine. How is yoke used again? Can you ask me that question one more time? Because I've heard this yoked term quite a bit. It seems to be a convicting word for a lot of people. I think a yoke of almost something you put like on an oxen, like you're yoked to it.
Your thoughts on the Christian Bible saying not to be yoked to an unbeliever?
All right, okay, so yoked, that means I'm imagining what, from your perspective, you're imagining yoked means like in a relationship, like in a romantic, intimate marriage. So we'll put it that way. Imagine that's what you're asking me. To an unbeliever, this is a big question. Like, it's bringing up a lot of questions for me about myself, and I imagine it might be doing for the questionnaire as well. An unbeliever, I'm imagining once again, you mean an unbeliever that Jesus Christ died on the cross for her sins and and that's her only path to redemption. So imagining that's what you mean by unbeliever. So now let me rephrase the question. One more time, please, Deanna. I trust this is not being too ridiculous, but this is how I sometimes process questions, and this is why I guess people like to hear me answer them.
What are your thoughts
on
the Christian Bible saying not to be yoked to an unbeliever?
Saying not to be married to someone that doesn't believe in Jesus as their only Savior. Okay. And she wants to know my thoughts on that. My thoughts are, I have lots of thoughts about that. My thoughts are all over. I get to observe thoughts of like questioning the validity of everything that's in the Bible from my perspective. It gets me to question, do I believe everything in the Bible? It gets me to question, do I believe in is marriage like a natural thing? What is marriage? It gets me to wonder, wow, like one of the main thoughts is like, wow, how love wins. Like love wins. Like no matter what my rational mind can do, or even my feelings, to limit who I can love seems like a sin. It feels like one of the most sinful things I can do. And I know biblically, and I also consider this to be my truth as well. Once again, I'm not sure if like even the words that people wrote down in the Bible were directly, some of them are from God, that's the story, and some of them are interpreted by other people, and sometimes I've never been able to interpret my own feelings, or no one has ever been able to interpret my own feelings better than me, So I'm like wondering, who is this person I'm trusting to write all this down? That and in the current day, I can't find anyone that seems to understand me better than me. So why am I like trusting an author more than myself? So it gets me to ask a lot of questions like that. I'm not saying those questions are my definitive opinion. The closest thing to a definitive opinion that I have on this subject is that unconditional love that Jesus showed on the cross when he approved of his crucifiers as they killed him, and then even questioned God in that process. So showing that if Jesus never sinned, to question God is not a sin. And having questions are sometimes the best answers to these big topics in life. And I keep asking questions like that, and if they're not coming from a place of love, maybe consider, or the purest love, think about what that question means to you. Because I think a lot of people, especially of people that I believe think they have things figured out, seem to be a bit triggered. If they think they have figured out about who should marry who and who should love who. It's a wild way to be, but some people really believe they know who should love who, and certain people are not to be loved in the same way or to a certain degree, and they think they know the truth for other people. So I think that those category of people seem to get triggered by Deanna's and mine love for each other. And so my answer is that my truth right now feels like our relationship here is to exemplify what it's like to evolve into a state of unconditional love beyond agreement-based connections. And I really have to honor whoever asked this question, because how much it's bringing up for me, but I'm realizing that I have an interview to do actually in a few minutes that also made me sound extra important. So thank you for asking, and if you have any other good questions like that, the more controversial the better. Just remember that if you're not in a state of confusion or conflict, you're probably not in a state of growth. It's okay to have some conflict and confusion. That's probably because your world is being redefined and evolving as you're in it. And it's a bit confusing sometimes. It's like, and that's okay. That's like a great place to be. It's kind of like being in the eye. I'm looking at this picture. It looks like a wave. It's kind of like riding the wave of life, rather than getting a one good turn on the surfboard and then jumping off. It's like, yeah, this continues. And you just got to find that sweet spot and keep asking these questions and realizing this confusion and conflict are opportunities for growth, and that they all might be a way that we can learn to love each other to even a deeper degree. And the real question that I want to ask myself, and I encourage everyone listening to this to ask, is everyone you interact with, make sure in the back of your mind is, how can I love this person the best? How can I love this person the best? Like, how can I love this person the best? Ask that question and watch the wave of life get that much dreamier.